Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam rasulillah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Gabriel Romani with another episode for mytaskia.com, where we are trying to tackle this evil, this disease, this pandemic of pornography. As always, we take your questions, but please do check out our links and support this program through your donation, through your sponsorship, through helping someone get rid of porn addiction. Especially now, mashallah, when I'm recording this anyway, it's in Ramadan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put barakah. We have a special on, and alhamdulillah, a lot of brothers and sisters are changing their lives by coming back to normality, to their fitrah, by giving up porn. So, question today is, I was raised by overprotective parents, and I feel like I'm not as brave as Muslim as I should be. I don't blame my parents for this, of course, but I want to change it. Been trying to overcome, and I think I made some progress, but I think I need an expert's advice on this. So how should one become brave, a brave person who was raised in a very overprotective environment? Jazakallah khair. It's an excellent question. Some cultures parents believe that I have to protect my child, and of course, all of us should. Children should be protected. We have to have mercy on them. We have to have, as the Prophet ﷺ said, that is not from us the person who does not have mercy on the young and respect the elders. So mercy, part of the mercy involves the protection of them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts some very strict rules when it comes to parenting, what's allowed, what's not allowed. And parents, they do what's called tarbiyah. Tarbiyah from the word Rabb. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a Rabb. Tarbiyah is the development, the taking of a person, as the ulama define it, from point A to point Z. Not only transfer of knowledge, but transfer of adab, manners, ethics, morality, revelation, understanding, and so on. So many parents, though, in doing this, they become overprotective. Now, can there be such a thing as overprotectiveness? Yes, there can be. You have what's called today mama's boy. Daddy's girl is not the same thing. Again, the question is asked by a brother. We have to understand that we have to protect both brothers and sisters, both female and male children. However, it's not the same. For girls, it is totally different because they are made different. They require extra attention and extra care and extra protection. Now, some women might be upset by what I'm saying right now because they want equality. Yet we see when push comes to shove, such as, for example, what happened in Ukraine now. In the end, all the women had to get up on the train and the buses to leave, or most of them. In general, we don't take the exception. Now, there might be the G.I. Joe, Jane, whatever type of girl who wants to prove herself, but I don't think she's going to go a long way. The Sharia is outlined by generals, by generality, not by the exception. So women have to be overly protected, cherished, nurtured, because with that protection comes the love and the mercy that they need, that they themselves, when it comes to time, they will transfer to their children. However, for boys, when the same is applied for boys, and this is where my argument stands, that a lot of mothers and fathers, but specifically mothers, smother their children, their boys, and they treat them like girls, mommy's boy. And when time comes for them to stand on their own 2 feet, which is an interesting statement, isn't it? It's almost like there's no transitionary period, there's no tarbiyah, and that's what tarbiyah is, to actually train them to stand on their own feet. But when the time comes in today's society, it's an abrupt transition, and men don't know. They're still boys. Actually, they realize that we're not men anymore. We are still boys, still playing PlayStation, still sleeping late, still not carrying responsibility. And then the women, they complain and they say, what do we have? What kind of husband is this? He sleeps till 11 a.m. in the morning, and he's not assertive, he doesn't have courage, and so on. And the boys themselves, or the guys, recognize this as well, just as this question goes. That it comes to a time like, man, I wish I would be more brave. I wish I could face certain things. It doesn't mean you have to be always on the edge. You have to fight with everyone. You have to prove yourself on everything. No, that's not what it means. That's not what the Prophet ﷺ did. But you don't shy away from conflict. You don't become scared of conflict and of taking decisions and so on. You have manners, you are patient, but that doesn't mean that you shy away from conflict. Because bravery is something that is at the core of maintaining values and morals in the world, in society. Bravery is to stand in front of injustice. Bravery is to take the right decisions, or to admit when you've made mistakes and to stand strong, to take it in the chin like a champion when you've gone wrong. Not to compromise your principles and your morals. Bravery is to be able to lead, is to be able to face failure and difficulties and fears. Bravery is not the absence of fear. A lot of people get this wrong. Bravery is the presence of fear, yet still being able to do those things, facing it. So, which leads me to, how do I develop? How do I become brave? Well, let's take it a step back. We're talking here about damage control based on this question. Preemptive measures is always education. Parents, teach your children, expose them, guided exposure to certain events that might cause fear. That's why tarbiyah is guided exposure. So when the time comes that independence is achieved, the person is ready. It's not an abrupt transition. It was a transition that was done step by step. It's not just an abrupt move. So tarbiyah and education is very, very important. Let your children experience stressful situations. Give them responsibilities from young. Taking out the trash, cleaning out the yard, making their room, going for shopping, carrying the bags, holding the door, teach them manners. Ladies first. Help their sisters, protect them. Tell them, if I'm not there as a man, I tell my son, it's your responsibility to protect the women of our house, your mother and your sisters. It's your responsibility. You put responsibility on them. In charge them with things. And lead by example. If you're a father and you're a coward, then of course your son is not going to have a lot to look for. He might look in other places for inspiration. And that is not the best thing, because you don't know what he's going to be looking at and for. So that's preemptive education. Now what about damage control? Damage control is not easy because the fears have already been built. Fear, as one of, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless Ustaz Ibrahim, he said it's false education that appears real, because we've been conditioned to be afraid. And the more we don't face these fears and we turn around, and most people don't like conflict, they don't like to be in problems, they will run away. That does not mean that you go and look for conflict everywhere. A lot of people will go on the street and start looking for, oh, I want to show myself what a man I am. Oh, you looked at me wrong? I'm going to show you. That's not what it is, man. That's just childish. That's ludicrous. It's about facing the challenges of the world, not running away from it. Most people run away. So how do you change yourself? You face it. You basically stand against the issues that you're scared of. List them down. Sit there with yourself and check yourself and see, what am I missing? What are the things that are scaring me? And then just face it. Just go for it. Expose yourself to it. It's going to be hard. You're going to be afraid. You're going to tremble. You're going to have anxiety. But slowly what happens, first, second, third, fourth time, with time, slowly, you realize that actually it's decreasing. And now I'm ready. More and more and more. There's still things that I've been doing, trust me, for 10 to 15 years, 20 years, and still there are some fears within me. But within the first minute, second minute, it just disappears. So face your fears. That's the only way. In existential psychology, you are taught, and I agree with this, to face your challenges and your fears, to rationalize them, even think about them. That's why planning is important. You have to visualize. When a fighter, before he gets into a fight, in a boxing match or whatever, they watch the tapes of the previous fighter or the third fighter who's going to fight them. They, and I'm not endorsing here fighting, I'm just giving you an example. They visualize victory. They visualize how the fight will be like. They go through the processes in their mind. That's what you have to do. You have to be ready. And if you don't, if you slack, you find that you're going to slack when the real deal comes to your step. So focus, visualize, and then face the challenges. And yes, you'll be scared. And yes, you'll fail. But with time, you'll be slowly desensitized more and more, and you'll be able to face the fears. Keep in mind, brothers and sisters, fathers and mothers, that a overprotective environment, yes, there's a lot of bad things in the world. There's a lot of issues, but an overprotected environment can make your child very weak. That does not mean now you have to put them to swim with the sharks, but you can still teach them how to swim. The fear is going to be there. You have to guide exposure. The way we grew up, we were sent places. We used to walk kilometers. Man, they would never send their children out right now at 7, 8, 9. What we used to do, where we used to go as children growing up in Romania. Never. I mean, even now, me thinking about it, sometimes I get anxiety. I'm like, I can't believe that I was walking that long and that far and crossing these streets and doing these things at 8, 9 years old. But we did it. And we had responsibilities. And you see this in countries like Africa or India, where still men are coming up strong. Because why? Because, well, the lifestyle requires it. You cannot afford to be weak. You cannot afford to be someone who just slacks off or is comfortable, because everyone is needed. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us and help us understand, inshaAllah. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.